Coming to you from sunny Orlando, Florida, welcome to the Paperstac Podcast, where we cover current topics in the note industry, give you tactics for your note business, and talk with industry leaders to make you a better note investor. And now, your hosts, Brett Berkey and Rick Allen.
How's things going, man?
Good. Today's if I could quote you too, it's a beautiful day. Today we have rolled out something pretty cool with the new mobile look on the site.
Oh my God. It's not just a mobile look. There is much different that you will see. Matter of fact, a lot of the stuff you're going to see that's different, you'll see on the widescreen monitor format that you typically wouldn't see. Like having your to-do items are now on the side of the screen, which is huge.
Yeah.
If somebody is on the platform a lot, I'm going through the transactions, jumping back and forth. I don't want to have that sort of, I can now see,
Somebody's already said, Logan, he said, this is awesome. He loves that view. Because if you have a big monitor, it's great. Because then you just have all your stuff there to do. You can look and see and switch back and forth.
The main screen, the mainframe just got better. Another thing, one of my favorite ones is like how you actually execute documents right now.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
That one's great. You have to be on there to see it, to understand it. But when you go to sign your next purchase sale agreement, it's pretty special. And then sharing files. We finally have the drag and drop.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, there's other things. And we have the whole added land as a property type.
Yeah. So
you can search that now.
Vacant land contracts. That's.
Yeah. Not CFDs, but actual vacant land. Yeah.
So people buy land, split it up, sell it off. And now you've got these land notes and we can do those now. Added that on there. So it's
a lot.
It's been a good day. It's been a long haul. This has been like the COVID redo because I think we started this right before COVID and it's just
right in March, right?
Yeah, just getting rolled out. It's pretty interesting.
That's a lot of stuff. But yeah, now it's good because now we can start doing other things. For a while, we were stuck in that where we couldn't launch anything to the site. And that kind of got tough because we wanted to put stuff up, but couldn't. Now it's all done and we're good to go.
Kids are out of the house, or at least I got one of mine out. He's back at school. The other two start on Monday. So thank you.
Yeah.
That was a long stretch from March to now. I'm finally ready to get the kids out.
Yeah. No, that's a very true thing.
Can't work any longer with them in the house. It's just, I keep telling myself 3 more days, 2 more days.
And you're almost there.
I'm almost there.
Almost there.
Today, what do we got today?
Today we're going to go over some things about non-performing assets. There's some people on the site that they purchase a lot of performing stuff, but non-performing is out there, and there might be some more in the future. And want to basically get your take on the risk of non-performing assets and what the main risks are and different things that go along with that. And so
I think super relevant right now talking about non-performing assets because there's not really an abundance of them out there yet. And I use that word yet because right now there is this quiet tidal wave mounding of debt that's not being paid. And eventually what's going to happen is foreclosure moratoriums are going to be lifted, eviction moratoriums are going to be lifted, and it's going to be very relevant because there's going to be an increasing amount of the non-performing debt, starting with the single family stuff, and it's going to be moving on up into the commercial side as well. There's a lot of things getting hit right now. Yeah, happy to talk about it today. It's just another tool in the tool belt, really, right? Just want to know how to navigate the performing and the non-performing. And the reality is, ultimately, almost the non-performing, you're going to need to know how to navigate that because you could have a performing asset that turns into a non-performing asset.
How often does that happen for you?
So our model is we buy them non-performing, turn them re-performing. So it all depends on how well we bake that cake up front. If we're just trying to get an asset to start performing a little bit so we can stop the cash bleed, it can happen. Typically when we do a full loan mod, we run them through our full plan front to back of, look, you got to do a forbearance agreement. You got to start making trial payments. I see some consistency. I need you to put some skin in the game. When you start doing that stuff and you get them used to, conditioned to paying their mortgage, and then you give them a fair loan modification, it doesn't happen often. Even through all that's happened with COVID, I think we've had less than 10% of our loans stop paying. we're primarily in the lower price band assets. If they're getting any sort of unemployment or
so they can.
Yeah, they can cover, and that's one of the benefits. The lower price band assets, they have a double-edged sword. There's quite a few pros, but there's also quite a few cons to owning those. And it's just, you got to figure out what's your risk tolerance, what's your ultimate end goal.
Are you new to the mortgage note industry? Have you been wanting to learn the step-by-step process to purchase your first mortgage note? Well, you're in luck. We've convinced our CEO, Rick Allen, to break down everything he knows about mortgage note investing. Through a series of 50 videos, you'll get everything from start to finish of where to purchase notes, how to purchase notes, and all of Rick's investing techniques he has developed over the many years. From performing note tactics to non-performing notes, Rick gives you everything he knows about investing. Bonuses include our glossary of industry terms, Rick's own proprietary calculators he created to evaluate notes, discounts from our partners, our Rolodex of vendors, a private Facebook group, along with a lot more. We've packed so much content into the Academy to take you from beginner to expert in no time. To learn more about the Academy, go to academy.paperstac.com/welcome. Again, that is academy.paperstac.com/welcome.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I was talking to Kevin, he was saying something along the lines that it's best if a lot of these bigger banks are doing the moratorium where they're not paying right now. And he said that's the worst thing to do because it's hard to get someone to change once they've already stopped paying. But if you can get them just to pay a little bit at a time, just a little bit, you just contribute something. You don't have to pay it all, but contribute something.
Yeah.
It keeps their mind, and they're still in the game, and they understand
it is a mindset thing. And that's where our mentality is. We come into it as a non-performing asset. So look, you got to pay something. You got to pay $100, $50, something. You got to show me that you want to stay.
Yeah.
Because if you don't show me you want to stay, then how do I know? I'm not going to put money into
fixing it,
modifying your loan. I'll put money into getting you out and putting somebody in your property that wants to be there.
Yeah.
It's a mindset, man. And right now it's the ultimate black swan. Nobody knows really what to make of it. The problematic piece of this is that if somebody just doesn't pay at all, eventually they have to start paying, and you better hope that you got an investor that owns your loan on the other end that's willing to work with you or wants to work with you. And if you're not working with them, don't expect them to work with you. We were in the midst of doing a cash for keys with somebody. We were going to pay him $6,000.
Yeah.
And they went dark on us now. And we were going to give them through the end of October. We're giving them forever and a day to get out of the property. And this was while COVID's going on. And now they just threw their hands up, and they're just not throw their hands up. They're just not answering the phone anymore.
How long has it been going on?
That's been going on since March. We're in August now.
Oh, so it's not like they just went out of town or something. They're blatantly ignoring you.
Oh yeah, they're blatantly ignoring us, and that's the risks, right? That's the risks you run when you're buying non-performing mortgages. You buy the non-performing mortgages with really one of two goals. One, you want to take it and you want to turn it into a performing asset, save someone's house. Maybe you have the altruistic mission of trying to help people, or maybe you're just like, look, I like the cash flow. That's one role, is you're going to save their house, turn it into a performing asset. The other side of that is you're buying that non-performing debt because you want the actual asset.
Yeah.
You want the house back. You want the real estate. So it just comes down to what's your goal? Our goal on this one was to try to help and save the house, but they can't afford it. So now we're like, okay, we have to take the house back. Fortunately, we're in a great position on it. The house is worth, I think it's worth $250 to $270.
Wow.
Yeah, we're into it for $145. So it's one of those things you're like, all right, let's get in there. We'll take the house back. There's a huge upside on it. And a lot of times I find out that what I've seen is those non-performers, those are the ones that have a huge upswing. Yeah, they have the huge ability to hit a home run.
What's the risks on something like that right now? So let's just play this out. They haven't talked to you since March, and they don't plan on talking to you. How far away are they?
From where's the house located?
Yeah.
Well, it's in Illinois, Chicago.
So is that judicial, non-judicial?
That's a judicial state.
You got
that's
explain what a judicial state is.
Judicial versus non-judicial states. Judicial states, you have to go through the courts for foreclosure. And those times vary depending on state. Places like Florida, Illinois, they're longer. You're talking 12 to 24 months. Places like New York, New Jersey, you're talking
3 years.
Yeah. No, that's
I know. That's what I was just
and that's in a normal time frame.
Yeah. Right now, those are being like, correct me if I'm wrong, but during all this COVID stuff, deemed these non-essential things where even if you have a foreclosure going on, it's pushed back even further now.
It stopped. Yeah. It stops. That's the issues there. So judicial foreclosure equals court system. Non-judicial, you don't have to use the courts. It's called a sheriff's sale. And that is much quicker.
And this is just, I might be wrong about this, but isn't Florida both?
No, I don't believe so. I believe Florida is strictly judicial.
But there
are states that are both. Alabama.
How do you have one that's both?
Really, it comes down to the originating document, whether it be a deed of trust or whether it's a mortgage or a deed of trust.
So if it's a mortgage, it might be judicial, and if it's a deed of trust, it might.
Typically, you can never say 100% because I've seen some funny written mortgages and I've seen some funny written deeds of trust out there. I've seen some funny written contract for deeds that weren't really contract for deeds. So but for the most part, deed of trust is going to be a non-judicial. Mortgages are judicial. That's it. Now, like I said, this is the rule. It's the 90-10. It applies to 90% of the stuff out there.
Cool. And when it comes to stuff like contract for deeds,
that's probably going to fall under each state's dominant thing. I have seen and heard of them making contract for deeds. Really, look, this is a judicial thing. It has to go through the courts on that.
Like Ohio's a big in that, right?
Yeah, very much. One of the other things to kind of look at is like the cost. If you're in a judicial state, you can run $15,000, $20,000 legal bills on a foreclosure very easily. You have some people out there that can do flat fee stuff. We've got some great flat fee attorneys here in Florida. I've got a couple in Illinois that we use, but that is for a non-contested run-of-the-mill. Here's $4,500. They're really pushing paper. Where you run into issues is as soon as somebody starts fighting back. And there's specific attorneys out there in each state, it seems, that have made a name for themselves for being pains in the asses for banks attorneys. And so if we've actually been into situations before where we've run across a couple of those attorneys here in Florida, one in Connecticut, to where we found out who the opposing attorney was. And we were like, either A, we're going to offer somebody $10,000 to sign the house over on a $150,000 house, which that's a lot. But at the end of the day, this one attorney, I remember, they said, look, we're literally coming into weeks out from trial. And they sent over a request saying, we're going to need you to prove up all the pay history on this. And it has to be done by the people who were servicing the loan at that time and couldn't do it on signed affidavits or anything. So I was looking at it, and just to get my servicer to fly in.
Oh, they had to fly in?
Yeah, they had to come testify.
Wow.
So to get my servicer, it was going to be a $3,000 appearance fee on the CEO's part.
Wow.
Plus I had to pay for flight, food, board.
That's $10,000 right there.
Oh, it was going to be insane. I was like, I'm going to be $15,000 into this just before
you even get to try.
Just in witnesses. And I was like, so that's when we were like, look, give this guy $10,000.
Did he take it?
Yeah, he took it. We did well on that one too. It was good.
Wow. So that's one of the risks, is that they might hire super attorney on the other end. That
super attorney is a huge risk.
What's another big risk of non-performing stuff? When you have it non-performing, are you still insuring it and having it?
Absolutely. You are insuring it with force placed insurance.
So it's still with the servicer, although it's not performing.
And there's different levels of servicing. You have some people that are full service. Security National we use, they're full service. They have asset managers that are driving the strategy you give them, talking to attorneys, actively involved. Then you have other servicers who are like, look, you're gonna manage your own foreclosures.
Wow.
And there's no right or wrong way. It depends how big your team is. And if you have somebody that is their job
of like doing that,
and they have a lot, and you have a lot of assets, it's great, because nobody manages your portfolio like you do.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
I would imagine it's your money.
Yeah, it's your money. So you're in there. But sometimes you don't have enough bandwidth or manpower. You're in that odd phase where you're going from 100 notes to say 500 or 1,000 notes. You're crossing this sort of chasm that's where you can't see land behind you and you can't see land ahead of you. And I just have to keep pushing forward. And once you get enough capital, you can start bringing enough people in, you can start managing. You have a more granular look.
Would you want to have that many? If you're to buy non-performing notes, would you buy a pool of non-performing notes and try to work? That sounds like a lot of freaking work. Wouldn't you want to have a pool performing and like maybe one or sprinkle it in a two, a note non-performing for?
It depends on what you're doing. Like I said, you can tailor what your experience is going to be a little bit and by the due diligence up front. If your goal is to buy an asset, turn it reperforming, and then turn around and season it up, collect some payments and sell it, you want to buy stuff that's still owner occupied, probably not more than 2 or 3 years behind on their payments. Do a drive-by, order drive-by picks on it before you purchase it. Make sure there's some pride in ownership going on.
Yeah, okay.
If there's broken down cars and weeds growing over the place, you're like, look, that's not going to have a high probability of turning that into a performing asset. But if you buy a pool of non-performers that all have the borrower still active, maybe they're a year or two behind, you read through the servicing notes, and that's a big thing, is reading through the servicing notes to figure out like the story. Why did they stop paying? Then no, it's not difficult because you can reach out to people almost immediately. We use a HUD certified counselor non-for-profit that allows us to reach out to the borrowers, and you can get them on the phone and say, look, do you want to keep your house? Yes. Great. Let's start making a payment. Let's get the process going, and it's good. And that's the thing. Time will kill all deals.
What do you mean?
If you hold on to stuff, you don't learn this maybe until you're in there for a while, but if you hold on to something too long, the costs start mounting and the costs will eat you up, which is one of the downsides to smaller price band assets. If they're non-performing and you can't get them performing, that's something we learned is, especially if they're in the Rust Belt, if they're Ohio or Illinois, they got high taxes there.
Oh, wow. So the taxes will eat you.
Oh, the taxes will kill you, man. You can have a house worth $70,000 and they got $13,000 in taxes a year.
Jesus. Insane.
Yeah. Or they got $6,000, $7,000 in taxes. You get a $350,000 house down here and it's got $3,500 in taxes. So the taxes up there in the Midwest can really beat you up. So that's a risk. Taxes will eat you up. Vandalism,
okay.
Oh my gosh, another risk is
but usually the people that you're buying, so you are not performing, that would be vacant. You're saying the vandalism.
But you could go all in and it'd say, look, this is a no-brainer. This is a lay down. This one's they want to stay and play and they want to keep the house. It looks like it's owner occupied. It says owner occupied on the tape. You send somebody by there, it's owner occupied. Short of pulling the power bill and seeing who's paying the power. If it's not owner occupied and they're just rent stripping, which means, rent stripping means they've got a house, they're renting it out and they're not paying you, they're collecting rent. That's a bad situation.
Yeah. Did you know that?
You just get in there, you do a door knock. Once you own it, you can't do a door knock before you buy it. But once you own it, you do a door knock and you're like, yeah, I'm just the tenant. I pay rent to this guy. And you're like, great. So now what that guy does is he has a piggy bank that he can use to fight your foreclosure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that can be tough. You can do things like go to the courts if you're in foreclosure and have an assignments of rent done where the judge will mandate those people to pay rent to the courts and the courts will pay you.
That makes sense.
But that's not always
What was that one clause that's in the mortgage you look for, at least when you write things up? Remember?
Like a due on sale clause?
No, it's like if someone's paying rent, like rent stripping, you said somewhere a lot of times in the...
That's what the assignment of rents clause, it's in there.
Oh, okay.
You'll see that's actually in the mortgage, you'll see that in a lot of mortgages, deed of trust, that you'll see language in there.
For rent stripping?
Yeah, so that's...
And if they're rent stripping, then that's faster foreclosure and getting them out?
No, it's not fast foreclosure. You can go to
the courts.
It's like a chess game, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. They're using this money to fight me in court. There's a clause in their mortgage, and it doesn't necessarily have to be there, but it helps if it's there. But I can go to the courts and say, look, they're collecting rent. They're not paying their mortgage, not paying their taxes, not paying their insurance. Can I get that rent assigned to me? And the courts will go and deliver something to the tenant, say, you have to start paying your rent over here. Mm-hmm. And so what you're doing is you're cutting off their piggy bank to fight your foreclosure.
That's smart.
So it's one of the things you can...
That'll make them want to come to the table. It'll piss them off pretty bad.
It will, but it's stuff you got to do. So yeah, that's a risk. You're saying how could something get vandalized? Like I said, sometimes it's supposed to be occupied, but they end up leaving. They just throw their hands up and said, I'm done. I'm out of here. And from the time that they leave until you can maybe secure the property, we've had stuff where air conditioning, you can almost write that thing's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The AC units, it's just like they snip them and they take them and they sell them for $12 in copper.
Really?
That's it. There's just not a lot of copper in those things.
But still, an air conditioning unit's so expensive.
Yeah, I know. And they're doing it just for the $30. I'd rather pay them. I was like, look, I'll give you $100. I'll buy you $100 to stay away from my air conditioner.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they can come in stripping the copper from the house. Those are copper piping. That's gone. And you look at these things, they'll rip out all the wiring. Maybe you get some kids in there who they're just kids, right? And kids, what do they want to do?
Want to play?
They just want to play, and they go in and vandalize stuff. And so that's vandalizing, and theft is a huge risk on your assets. It's a huge risk.
A side track to this, but when we first started getting going, or at least when I first started working with Rick and TJ, they asked me, we were in Winter Garden, which was a different place, and they're like, you want to go see this house? And I was like, and they're like, kind of like laughing about it. I was like, yeah, I guess so. What's up with this house? And we went there. The guy who was pissed off at the mortgage.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
It was like it was a huge house.
It was like a 6,000 or 7,000 square foot house.
Yeah, he painted the outside red, like bright red. And you walk in the front door, and there's a pentagram in the living room. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Blacked out everything.
They blacked the walls out. They painted the windows black. They drained the pool, had thrown
cement
cement in the pool, cemented the pipes on the inside of the house. They actually had wound up going up and cutting the rafters.
Yeah. Oh, really? What, to have it fall?
It's structurally unsound now. So to replace a rafter, you got to peel the whole roof off.
Oh, jeez.
So they went through and were cutting rafters and just.
They were pissed. I was freaked out. I was like, man, I'm not walking past this pentagram. And you guys were like, look, Brett, this is all made up to be here. I was like, why do you say that? Look at the candles. They've only been lit once. They were just lit for show. I was like, damn, you guys are good. I was like, you guys know your stuff, don't you? And they walk around the side of the house, and he had 6 propane tanks. Remember, he was going to probably try to blow that place up.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing, though. It's all the same, right? Yeah. The thing is, if you're in if somebody steals the air conditioner on a house worth $300,000, how much is it? You're talking $6,000, $5,000, 6, 7, I don't know, somewhere in there to get it fixed. Somebody steals the air conditioner on a $30,000 house, you're talking that same $5,000 or $6,000, right?
Yeah, that sucks.
And all of a sudden, like, it starts just whacking it out. But like I said, on the flip side, the lower price band assets, people they're getting their money. It's less money, especially if they got some skin in the game.
The risk so far we've heard is the other lawyers, the knowing if it's judicial, non-judicial, having vandalism, having them rent stripping. And then said a couple other ones. The fact that, taxes in certain states are just crazy. Have we covered all the different types of things that are risky and non-performing?
No, the list is long. You can go through a laundry. It can really be wrong. A long list of stuff, starting with the
HOA.
Homeowners.
Yeah.
Homeowners is a big one on the non-performing side because though they can come in, and there's some states called super lien states that they can come in. If they foreclose you out, you actually can lose your lien position. Now we haven't had to deal with that in such a while, but they may have overturned that. I know in Florida, that's not the case. I thought in Las Vegas or in Nevada, that's something that's very real. And it's, wow, HOA can wipe out a first lien.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But the thing is also is HOAs can hold you hostage. You could have a borrower who's, look, I'm willing to sign the house over to you, which is always best case if you're doing a non-performing. You're like, they want to sign the house over, deed in lieu, great. They sign the house over to you, but now you've got this HOA lien.
Yeah.
Who it may be like, we've had some that were like $15,000. And in Florida, there's I think it's called the safe harbor law, which allows you to say, look, it's either 12 months of HOA dues or 1% of the principal balance, whichever is greater.
That you owe?
that you can settle with them for. So if it's a 12, like for instance, if they owe, if you know, you got a deed in lieu and it was the $300,000 mortgage, and they owe the HOA 15 grand or XY's 15 grand, but it's only $1,500 a year for the insurance or for the homeowner's dues.
They only owe $1,500?
No, you have to pay $3,000. But sometimes, even though that's the law, because it's 1% of that's greater.
Okay.
But what happens is the HOA will hold you hostage and be like, no, sorry, we're not going to do that.
Wow.
And they're like, we want $7,000. I'm like, no, this is what the law is.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're not going to do that. So you can take us to court. And ultimately what happens is they may only be 3 or 4 years behind on their HOA dues. Mm-hmm. So they're if it's 4 years, they're 6,000 in the hole, and they're saying you owe them 15 grand. HOA attorneys they just pile the fees on there. Just pile the ridiculous fees on there.
How can that be? If you owed 6,000, you pay 6,000. It's not the case, huh?
No, it's just not what it is. They just pile on fees, and it's up to you to like, okay, you got to prove it against them. And what they're going to say is they're just throwing it against the wall. We'll see if it sticks.
Wow.
Sometimes it'll stick. Imagine if you got somebody who's willing to do a short sale, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of signing the house over to the bank, that borrower is, look, I got the bank I owe them 300. They're going to take 270. I got a buyer on the line at 270. And then the HOA pokes their head out and say, you owe us 15 grand. So I'm only 4 years behind. That's 6,000. Like, we've got fees and stuff on there. So unless you want to go ahead and pay us the 15 grand, you can tell your buyer to go away.
Wow.
And so HOAs, they're assholes. And another thing is they're impossible to deal with. They like put you through almost like the phone tree. They're like, look, I need a payoff. I need an estoppel. Here's what it is. And they're like, all right, it'll be 14 days unless you want to pay the $250 expedited fee, and then we'll get it to you in 7 to 10, which usually ends up being 14. So it's just, they're terrible. The HOAs, and they have there's a couple things. One, they have not really a lot of motivation because they're not going to get what they think they're owed. But two, typically they don't have a great infrastructure built. Like occasionally you get the management companies who are pretty well built, but you have some of these HOAs that are just like, you're literally talking to Fred, who lives over on 123 Smith Street, who's the president of the board.
Yeah.
And so it's just, what do you do in that situation? Like, that guy's working a 9-to-5 job, and you're saying,
oh, wow. Yeah.
So I need to get this. And you're like, you got to go through our attorney, and the attorney's like, you got to go through the HOA to get that. I don't have that. I'm not a big fan of the homeowners association.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
They can be a pain.
Yeah, I always wonder, we have a house in our neighborhood where it's right down the street from me, and it looks just like crap.
The one in the cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
I've tried to buy that house.
But I'm wondering how they fight the HOA.
5 or 6 years. They just wait. And dude, that house has been to the courthouse steps. And then they go make the payment for the past due mortgages and they stop.
It's weird. I don't know what they're doing with that house. It's going to crap. The yard's super high, and I always thought it'd be a cool house because it backs up to the woods. And so I've even walked over to the side of the woods and I was like, wow, someone used to go sit down there because there's a lawn chair.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go in there, and my wife's always like, ticks, watch out for the ticks. I'm like, I'll wear pants. I'll probably do it in the fall. But I always wanted to go back out there and just walk around the woods and stuff.
Yeah.
That's so sidetracked, but
it is. It's way out there.
All right, we're hitting around 30 minutes.
We'll edit that one out. Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of risk, a lot of reward. You can definitely get your home runs with performing, but I think most of the home runs come from non-performing stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Unless
you're doing some wicked owner financing stuff.
Which people are doing that, and they're putting on the platform that some of those owner finance ones out of Texas are. There you go. I wish there was a filter for owner finance ones. But
yeah, we could do a whole session just on the owner finance stuff and kind of shovel it out to real estate agents, because we're selling our owner finance stuff. We give them to a real estate agent, and the agent was like, yeah, all right, I'll sell it with owner financing. It sits there for 4 months. And I'm like, what's going on? We need to drop the price. I'm like, no, if we're going for the retail, why don't you just sell it with owner financing? Keep 6% of the commission instead of waiting for somebody to bring you a buyer. And most of them don't know what they're doing. And I said, just sit back and watch. Create a Craigslist ad, put it out there, $89,900 with $8,900 down, 8.75% interest rate for 240 months.
Done.
I got 10 people waiting to throw 10 grand down to buy this house because they can't get financing through a bank.
Yeah.
It's at market value. Actually, this one's under market value. We don't want to put in money to fix it up, but it's in great livable condition. If we put in extra dollars, 20 grand, maybe we could make an extra 10, but like, let's just sell it as is and go.
Yeah, that's interesting. We can talk about that next time for sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to run through that one. And then anything else on our list, that stuff that we'd like to.
I think we've gone to 30 minutes and like to try to keep these around that. We could always
they're
just
not going to smack us on the wrist. No, we're not going to talk about them now, but just what's upcoming.
Upcoming stuff. We can talk about some of the things with building a boots on the ground team, the importance of insurance.
Yeah.
And why that's so important. The best way to take non-performing notes to reperforming, and as part of this series of non-performing.
When are we going to start interviewing some people? When are we going to start bringing some people onto the podcast? Some people that I'm sure you guys are bored of hearing Brett and I talk. There's some other people
Nobody
out
wants
there.
to talk to me. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
No, I don't know. I just haven't asked anybody. Actually, we are going to start bringing to people who have gone through transactions on Paperstac, learn how their strategy of finding certain notes. Jamie Bateman's supposed to be one of the first. I've talked to him a month. It's on me. Like, yeah, man, come on the podcast. And he's
Yeah, we'll get Jamie on here. Martin. Yeah, he's somebody we'd like to
Chris?
love to interview. I'd like to
Gail?
get Bob Repass,
Yeah.
Kevin Shortell, Gail Villanueva. Yeah, there's a lot of people that we could. Greenberg. Yeah, the Gales.
Yeah, get them all on here.
Yeah, so we'll.
We just got to figure out how to. The only reason I haven't done it yet is because I haven't figured out how to do it here and have an interview with the computer. Would this be the backdrop? I don't know.
Would this be the backdrop? What do you mean?
Usually you do it through Zoom.
We could still do a Zoom.
I guess I could do the Zoom here and have them filmed here, and then I talk this way. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're trying to figure this out as we go.
Anyway.
But that's enough for today.
Yeah, anywho, I think we could probably hook the camera up and have that be the camera for the Zoom and the recording.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out. Maybe if you see it work next time, it was my idea. So,
Brett's Paperstac.
all right. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.